Okay, so to make sense how Metasploit framework is used in real world scenario, we are going to have this attack example. And of course, we are going to use the concept and skills of Metasploitable, Kali Linux, and Nmap. And all those skills I've already covered in the previous video. So just go and read them. Here we are going to use the skills combining with Metasploit framework. So assuming that we have an IP address that we need to do either penetration testing or whatever the scenario. This is the IP address. And of course, it's Metasploitable. As I've said, we have already talked about it. And of course, even the configuring the network between Metasploitable and Kali Linux in all previous video, all those stuffs are there. So here we are just going to demonstrate how are we going to use Metasploit framework in this introductory part before we go in further about the framework. So the first thing we need to do, as we have already talked, we are going to use Nmap to scan this particular IP address. As we said, we are not going to use Metasploit framework searching for module out of blue. No, there has to be a basis. And of course, we are going to use this scanning and of course in the enumeration to see what kind of service are there and which of the service that Metasploit framework can help us. Because remember, Metasploit framework is not the holy grail of cybersecurity. It's just one of the tools. So understanding what is it, how is it used, and when is the most important key. So there are a number of services available in our Metasploitable using the IP. So you are going to use yours. This is mine, depending on the configuration of network I've done so far. So let's take example of this service. Then from here, we can go to Metasploit framework. As we have seen, it's an attacking framework to search for modules concerning this particular service. This is the service, this is the vision. So we are going to ask the Metasploit using the search command we have already covered. Tell us anything that you have. I'm trying to make it as generic as possible, as penetration testing is always is about this module, about this service, the module that you have about this service. So you are going to see that Metasploit framework now. By searching it, it tells us it has the auxiliary module for denial of service attack and this. And of course, it's for version 2.34. As you can see, ours, its vision is 2.3.4. Here it's 2.3.2. That's the essence of enumeration and information gathering. If we could have written this command that it does not tell us the version and its number, we are going just to have FTP and we're not going to be sure which of the particular modules listed so far is compatible to our particular case. So this one is not to be compatible, even if it would have been exploited is what we need, but having the version 2.34 and while our service that we are targeting, it has this version is not going to give us the expected outcome. But the second one is the exploit, as you can see. So it means it matches what we really need. And of course, it's for Unix based. And of course, as you can see, the if you I've not learned the detailed scanning to give me the particular kind of operating system is there, but even this command, just by showing version, you can see tells us the OS is Unix. So if I could have the same thing, but for Windows, for my case, it would have not make sense. It would have not been useful. And of course, the service is FTP. So as our case, then the vision number, which is an actual, no, not the vision number, the particular vulnerability that is there, this exploit is going to exploit is particular for this service we have. And for the version 2.3.4, of course, there are no point here in their naming convention, but actually that is what it means. So it exactly means, I mean, it exactly match a particular service we have at hand, a particular service version, and a particular version number. And of course, we have another information like when was it disclosed, the ranking, as I said, it's excellent, so it's good for us. It does not check, it just exploit, because other modules, mostly for auxiliary, they are just going to use for checking if the particular vulnerability is there. But this one is not for checking, it's just for exploiting. And of course, the other description of that. So what it means is I can use this particular module to exploit this service. This is how we are searching for modules in Metasploit framework. And this is just an introductory example. We are going to see further and more as we keep on uncovering the Metasploit framework. So let us going to use. Now, to use any module, you are using the command use, then you specify what you want to use. Now, for exploit module, I can just use the index number here, or I can copy the whole path here and paste it here for exploit, of course. But for my case, I'm just going to use the index number because this is the index number 1. So as you can see, my command prompt now changes. Of course, I remember last time the prompt was not that visible. Let me see. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so there it is. This, it tells me now, it moves. Let me go back. At any point of time, you can go back. Whenever you are in the Metasploit framework interactive console, you can go back to the previous stage by just lighting the back command. At first, I was here. It was just Metasploit framework version 6. But after learning the use command for this particular module index, which is actually what I need is for exploit, and it meets my particular target. Now the prompt changed to exploit, and it tells me the particular kind of mm, exploit module that I have so far. And it tells me by default it has configured that particular payload. We're going to see more about payload as we are moving further, but for now, we just want to demonstrate how are we going to search and of course using it. So for me to know more information about this particular module, let's say I don't know exactly what it does, I can just write info, then I can get all the information that I need, the description, the version, I mean the ID number that I can search even from the internet, and getting more information about that particular module. All those kind of information, they can just be provided to me by just using that info command. Now, also, I need to know how should I set this module so that I can execute it. To know that, I'm using the command option or show option. Then it tells me all this kind of information. Now, something to note here, though there may be a numbers of parameters, and of course for this module they are just few. For other module you can have like 6 or 7 parameters to set. But one thing that you need to add there is this column required. If you see that the particular parameter setting in the required is yes, it means that particular parameter is mandatory. If you have not set it, then you cannot use that particular module. For instance, here it tells the remote host, and it's mandatory. Remember, this is an exploit that I'm supposed to use against this particular machine. So our host, what it tells, it needs me to set the address of the remote host, the host that I'm going to execute this particular module. So to set anything, I'm using the command set. And of course, now I'm setting our host in capital and small letter, it's okay. And the IP that I'm attacking is this one. As you can see, this is the IP that I'm attacking, the Metasploitable. As you can see, my own PC or my own attacking machine is on this. Of course, it is a 2 card, but this is the card that is corresponding to the same network as my Metasploitable. This is .6, but the one that I'm attacking is .7. So that is the mandatory thing to set. The port is also mandatory, but by default, they have already set the port. So I can just set the IP. And to see if everything is set accordingly, I can learn the option command again. Then I'm going to see that there is this IP set. And there are different way of setting. If I just click set and then specifying the parameter for setting, like the previous command here, I'm going to set this temporary. If I close this session, this particular session of this particular module, then if I come back again to execute the particular module, I have to reset it again. But there is an option that you can use to set for parameter permanent that is like, of course, that is most useful. For instance, in a real world penetration testing, you are going to know the particular IP that you are going to attack. So you are going to deal with it like maybe throughout the particular scenario that you have established. So you just set it once, then whenever you are going to use the modules and the whatever things, automatically Metasploit is going to use the setting that you have enforced it to be permanent on that particular scenario. So to do that, I'm just adding this word G, like set global. It means whenever I'm using the Metasploit framework for this particular session, the other host, the remote host, is going to have this IP. Unless I close the session completely, like closing the MSF console and executing it again, then is when the particular setting is going to be forgotten. So that is the way of doing either set global for setting it global, or just setting it so that for this particular instance of the execution of the particular module. And here it means that the particular remote host has already been set. So what I need is just now to exploit it, to learn it, so that I can exploit the vulnerability that is there so far for the FTP. So I'm going to light exploit it. Then I'm going to wait for it. It means here is doing its execution. And I say it has found a shell. It means it has been able to do the execution and finding an interface for me to interact it. So when I see this kind of feedback, like command shell session one open, it means now I have been successful exploiting the vulnerability so far found in my metasploitable for this case study of this version. And I have a shell that I can interact with now this particular machine. Remember, I've said that, maybe let's make it clear here. Remember, I've said that if I learn if config, this is the IP so far my machine is. Of course, it has two network card. I have this IP and I have this IP. This is the Kali Linux machine. But the one that I'm attacking is .7 and mine is .6. So if I want to prove that I'm already in .7, the machine that have been compromised, if I run the command, the if config, you can see now I'm shown that I'm in .7. So this is how we search for modules and of course in executing attack. Remember, this is just an introductory and we're going to learn more and more about this Metasploit framework. So here it means I'm already in the machine. I can learn different command like who I am, I'm root. I can list files, whatever command that you have that is compatible to the session that you have already retrieved, you can learn it there. So this is it for today. We are going to meet again when we build more and more about this mandatory, basic, and foundation attacking framework, Metasploit framework. Thank you and have a nice day.